Okay, no, I promised you the title is not clickbait. I really do not study that much. And you might think, oh, I'm a genius, or you might think I'm a liar. I guarantee I'm not a liar and I'm not a genius. Actually, I'm a dumbass. That is precisely why I study 2 hours a day, because I am so lazy that in high school, I wanted to master studying. I wanted to study as little as possible. I enjoyed studying, I really did, but I wanted to study as efficiently as possible so I could spend more time playing video games with my friends and doing stuff like that. So I really tried to study as little as possible. And you might think I'm a liar, right? Like, oh, it's impossible to study 2 hours a day, right? Like, oh, in my school, bro, you wouldn't survive with 2 hours a day, man. You gotta study 12 hours a day, bro. Right? 12 hours a day, bro. Rise and grind. No. I guarantee you that if you're studying for 12 hours a day, I guarantee you, you're only getting a couple hours of efficient work done, max. Even the best concentrators in the world cannot study for more than, say, 4 hours, because focusing takes a lot of energy. And if you're really focusing 100%, you're not going to be able to study for more than, say, 4 hours. Right? So I guarantee you, if you think you're studying like 12 hours a day, you're probably only doing a couple of hours of efficient work max. Anyway, so there are many things you can do to get to study less. What you got to realize is that to study less, you need to study more efficiently, obviously. If you're studying for long periods of time, it means you're not studying very efficiently. And in this video, I'll share with you one massive tip that luckily I discovered in high school that completely reduces the amount of work you have to do well in a subject. And it takes advantage of this principle of mathematics. You might already know about it. It's a pretty famous principle. It's well known. It's called the Pareto Principle, the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is something that applies to so many things in life, in the world. So what the 80-20 principle is, if you don't know what it is, it was created by this, I believe he was an Italian mathematician, something like that. So Pareto, whatever his name is, he discovered that in his garden, now I'm going to butcher the story, I don't know exactly what it is, but he discovered that in his garden, 20% of the pea plants produced 80% of the peas. So basically what we can say with this law is that in a certain field, in a certain thing, 20% of actions will result in 80% of the results. In a business, 20% of customers will produce 80% of the revenue. 20% of customers will produce 80% of complaints. And what I realized, I didn't know about this law at the time, but what I realized is that this 80-20 rule also applies in subjects, in school subjects. So 20% of the material will give you 80% of exam results, or 80% of the marks. But how can this be? How can so little of the content produce such a high mark, get you so many marks? And what you got to realize is that, when subjects teach you, when the teachers teach you, they teach you so much stuff that isn't going to be examined, because they have to really go into depth and explain so many different topics. So everyone, when they go to study, what do? Maybe they open up the textbook, they start on page 1, and then they make their way through the textbook, they learn everything, boom, they get to the end of the textbook, but they've forgotten everything, because they're trying to learn the entire course, right? Or you go through the lectures, you start on lecture 1, watch it, get to the end of all the lectures, you probably haven't remembered everything, right? And yeah, you gotta take advantage of this law that 20% of the material in the subject will result in 80% of the mark. So how do you find that 20%? Well, you've got to go to the examinable content. Start with the past papers. Go through the past papers, and the past papers are basically a guide to what they can examine you on. So you look at a question, a past paper question, and you study the material necessary to do that question. And you repeat for every single question. And you'll find that this is going to be such a small proportion of the whole content of the course. And what you might realize, I realized for so many subjects that so many weeks of content could not even be examined. It was, now you might need that material for the assignments and stuff. So in this case, I'm only talking about exams, right? But it could apply to assignments as well. You've just got to be smart about what you study. So start with the exam and then use that to guide your studies rather than the other way around. And actually, if you have a problem that you're studying to figure out, you will find that you actually learn a lot better. If you're just learning mindlessly without having some kind of problem to put your learning towards, you're going to struggle to remember all that stuff. So, yeah, give this a try.